Hello and welcome back to StarCraft, where today we're going to be playing some Zerg Wars. This is a game that I've been playing quite a lot on stream, and a game that I've been getting a lot of requests to do some basic tutorials for, because while the game itself isn't terribly complicated, there is a lot of options, and options are scary. So let's go ahead and show you guys exactly how to get good at this game. Now, today I'm going to be playing Terran. Terran, for those who are familiar with this game, is, I'm going to say, like the bog standard. It is the default class, and it is extremely powerful. Terran specializes in their defensive capability, namely using their units, and is generally considered a mainline defender in this tower defense kind of game. So here we are going to be filling that role, and I'm going to be stopping the enemies from crossing this line. For those who are unfamiliar with this game mode, Zerg Wars is a competitive PvP tower defense, where the Zerg will spawn up here in the darkness. They will send their creeps, their Zerglings, and the ever-growing swarm all the way through our maze and attempts to destroy our planetary fortress. Our only objective is to be the last team standing, because across the way, across this bridge, our opponents, another team of 4, have a planetary fortress somewhere right about here, and their Zerg will have to run through their line and do the same thing. Now, as the mainline defender, I'm just here to keep the team alive. However, we are going to have some attackers. Looks like Mengsk is going to be helping me stay alive. This Kerrigan player, while they have a hero unit in our lane, is very likely to be a main aggressor. They will send the Kerrigan units over to the other side. Looks like they're already doing so with the Kerrigan's Nidusworm. They're going to be marching down the field. But for me, I just have to keep the team alive as long as physically possible. And to do that, I'm going to open up with a few Hellbats here. A few Hellbats, a couple medics to heal them up. That way I don't have to spend money on my SCVs. I can, in fact, disable the auto cast on repair. And I can start building a defensive line. Now, as Terran, I am fully capable of building static defenses. You'll see that's what I'm doing here. I've got perdition turrets. You guys may or may not be familiar with these. Basically, flamethrower turrets that pop up out of the ground and exterminate things with plasma. And I'm going to be using missile turrets at the bog standard anti-air. I'm going to be getting these things set up, and I'm going to rely on my Hellbats to take the hits up until such a time as my turrets become fully set up. When it comes to, well, the rest of the Terran build order, I'm going to be continuing more of this. I'm going to get alternating lines of these missile turrets with perditions behind it. I'm going to slap in a few psionic disruptors for those familiar with the campaign. These are the giant AoEs that slow down any Zerg forces in the area, attack and movement speed, great for holding a line. And then I'm going to be adding mostly units. The joy of Terran is that unlike some of the other commanders, like, oh, that's a lot of damage incoming here. Perdition turrets, keep going. You guys, auto repair, please. Get the Hellbat, hold the line. Upgrade perdition turrets. Upgrade structure armor. And we hold. That's a lot of roaches all at once. Okay. Let's get a couple more Hellbats moving this way, because it looks like we're going to need it. My teammates appear to have broken and cause the enemies to pool up somewhat, which is unfortunate, but I did have my basic defenses already good to go. I will have to spend some money, some minerals on repairing with the SCVs, but that is A-okay. Let's get a couple of science vessels. Science vessels similar to SCVs repair, but science vessels repair using energy, which is much, much better. So I'm going to go ahead and add some perdition turrets here. There we go. The first upgrade I'm going to get is I'm going to get the improved Nano repair, which allows the science vessels to repair structures, which is going to be amazing. Yes. Alright, looks like the Mengsk teammate here is going to be greatly assisting. He's certainly assisted with DPS during that whole initial opening. Looks like we've got an Ultralist coming, so I'm going to get a Liberator. Liberator's great at dealing with Ultralists. You'll love to see it. Let's go ahead and get the improved Nano repair next. Thank you. Improved Nano repair. Excellent. So now we don't have to worry about those. My other Terran teammate appears to be falling back, which is understandable. He only has ghosts. With the joy of a Liberator here, we should see the Ultralisk fall quite quickly. We're going to get another Liberator for the other side here. While the central rocks are closed, I only really have to worry about the left and the right sides here. The center line won't be breaking. Won't be getting attacked until the rocks break. Let's go ahead and pick up high-sec auto-tracking. This will enable my Perdition turrets to gain additional 2 more range and actually assist with the whole shooting in front of it a bit more reliably. Thank you. Let's pick up another Liberator. I love these unit-based armies because that means I can actually move them around and react to things. I'll go ahead and put the Liberator pointing right here so that as the enemy AI trickle in between the missile turrets, they will actually still get hit by the Liberator. Let's get another Liberator for the left side as well. And now, basically, I am doing most of the defending here. Liberators clearing things up, Perdition turrets, getting rid of all the Zerglings and all the tiny things. I'm good to go. In this case, I'm going to pull the Hellbats back, as well as medics, because I will use them basically in emergency purposes in case something decides to break. For the time being, I have science vessels, which can now repair everything for free. Re-enable that. The energy shield and get a couple more science vessels here. I can now basically hold this line. Looks like Megsk is going to do Megsk things, and by that I mean provide damage support. And now I am confident that we will hold this line for quite some time. So while that's going on, I'm going to start upgrading my economy. Terran economy, like most of the basic races, or at least races that don't have a quirky economy, is upgraded via the passive upgrades here. We have the upgrade mineral income, where I can increase the amounts of minerals I am allotted by 1, and then faster mineral income, which reduces the interval to receive passive mineral income by 1. We're going to be getting those and going through all of that as much as possible, because sure, while yes, every time we destroy a Zerg unit, we are given the bounty associated with it, like Zerglings are worth 2, Mutas are worth 5, Corruptors are worth 6. I'll be getting a fair amount of money off of that, and as the mainline defender doing a lot of the DPS, I will be getting quite a lot of money off of it. But hey, you know what? We're here to outlast the opponents, and what better way to outlast the opponents than being richer than them? Hey, too real. Alright, it looks like Kerrigan over here is having a rough time, lost one of their Vespine geysers, which is unfortunate, but we shall survive for the time being. There we go. Nice, nice, nice. Now this is suddenly more Zerg strength. So we're going to get another Liberator here. I do have my panic button. The Hyperion, which is basically a lane clear, will clear everything out. Where's my Liberator? I built a Liberator. I thought I built a Liberator. Must not have had the minerals. In case things get really sideways, I could use the Hyperion to clear out the entire lane, which is quite the good. Add another Liberator right here. I think it is about time. Oh, this is where I want to get greedy. But let's not, and let us instead add in 2 psionic disruptors here. Slow down the opponents dramatically. One on one side, one on the other. I will then get a third in the middle at 1 point in the future, but for the time being, that's not necessary. I do not want to completely hardwall. If I completely hardwall, then the Zerg AI gets angsty and just kind of goes all over the place in unpredictable ways. I want to funnel them, and I'm specifically going to funnel them slightly off to one side, either side here, and I'll block off this middle, leaving only these 2 slots open. The end game goal as the defender, aside from living indefinitely, is to upgrade the enemy Zerg. As I have the offensive upgrades here, I can get all the basic attacks, I can upgrade the bosses, and then I can send bosses eventually. And if I am rich enough, I can send more bosses, more upgraded bosses than the opponent can ever hope to defend. So that is my end game goal. But for now, I'm just trying to keep everything alive, namely my teammates. But I believe it is about time that I start expanding my defenses here. So I'm going to add a line of missile turrets behind. following the same pattern I did off the beginning. It looks like my teammate is losing some of his ghosts, which is really rather unfortunate. This is why we do not trust Terran to go bio. Why go bio when you're a Terran and you could build siege tanks? Do you have any idea how good siege tanks are at clearing out anything Zerg? Like, seriously, I'm going Liberators because Liberators are very good at dealing with bosses and the big ticket items, and, well, Perdition turrets are just good enough to deal with everything else. But siege tanks are like the pinnacle of wave clear, and there's lots of waves going on here to clear. At this point, I'm going to pick up the upgrade for the Psionic Disruptors. It increases their range by 2, which will slow the Zerg down even more. Or at least at a further away point. Going to fix up that guy there. Now I will add the rest of the Perdition turrets in. There we go. And I'll add Perdition turrets back here as well. I'll create a solid line of them, but they aren't terribly important right now because the Zerg are nowhere near close to dealing with us. So this is the point where I should actually be working in my economy because we don't really need the additional income. We don't really need the additional defenses. We are holding just fine. So, no reason for me not to invest my money in more upgrades. More money. Looks like we're actually starting to take a little bit of damage here, and it's not threatening so much as it's piling up and not getting repaired fast enough for me to be comfortable. So I'm going to get a couple more science cells here. We have a boss on the way, like a actual dangerous boss. I'm likely to use the Hyperion here. But because I'm Terran and I have access to good units, I'm going to be building a bunch of Banshees to get a kind of hit squad going. As well as get +1 weapons. Make sure my Liberators are hotkeyed. There we go. Now we can add this in here. We'll cast Hyperion because I don't want Niadra to deal real damage to us here. It looks like with Megsk here, we are actually able to clear that out quite easily without any significant threat, which is good. So no real threat with that actually. Megsk doing good things and actually clearing up with massive DPS. My major concern was that if we lose part of our front line, and then we have to scramble in order to get it back, then we will be inefficient. And efficiency is death, because efficiency loss means that our opponents have a chance to be more efficient than us, and therefore get further ahead. If we have to spend resources on stabilizing, and then spend additional resources on defending, we are going to be in a rough spot. Because that's the opponents who didn't have to spend that extra money are just going to be much further ahead, and then they will be able to send more bosses to us. And, well, you guys know how that goes. Once ahead, get further ahead, and then there's no real coming back. Or that's not true, but we have to rely on our attackers to come back by dealing critical damage. And that right now is not happening. It looks like the enemy team is defending quite strongly as they lose their entire left flank. So they're going to have to rebuild all of those defenses, whereas we didn't have to. Of course, the Hyperion, which clears the lane, has a 15-minute cooldown, so yikes. But you know what? We got money, we've got time. Let's spend it on getting more money so that we can get more time. This Terran, I feel so bad. His ghosts, they just die. I have science vessels. Whenever my buildings, like, these Perdition turrets have 5 armor and 500 HP. Whenever they get touched, the science vessels repair them for the cost of energy. You don't have to spend your life points. Alright, looks like we're about to fill up our supply here. So let's go ahead and get a supply depot. I should probably get 2 of them because I tend to get units in waves. The joy of defending like this is I can just have extra supply, and whenever something concerning happens, I can fill it out with units. They say, oh, there is a giant air creature coming. It's the Leviathan. All I need to do now is just get a bunch of Vikings, and then just kill it, because Vikings are very good at dealing with aircraft. Okay, elite ghosts. He has gotten elite ghosts and gotten all the upgrades for them. And he's actually, looks like single-handedly holding this left side here. Which is nice. Good job, Terran. Ghosts are quite good. They do suffer from several downsides, and I'm sure we're going to find those downsides here pretty quickly. But for the time being, I'm just going to capitalize on my teammate holding the lane and not expand my defenses at all. He's holding that side, so I don't have to worry about it. And that means I'm just going to be investing into more economy, which is awesome. Now, while this is all happening, oh, looks like he's falling back. Ultralisk got on top of him. No, it's fine. While all of this is happening, let's go ahead and talk about the Terran unique upgrades. Terran, one of their special upgrades is... Oh, my teammate has already gotten. So I can't show them off here, but for those who have played, you'll get to see them for yourself. Every faction has access to unique upgrades of a kind. They're usually the co-op upgrades, something like, oh, banelings or splitters, or the hunter banelings that can jump up the walls, or, I don't know, Protoss with carriers that can heal each other. Ooh, this is a boss. Hello, I don't remember seeing you spawn. Nope, we were not notified of your existence. Okay, well, Liberators will clear you up quite nicely. And problem solved. I didn't even need the extra Liberators. Okay, let's do this and this. Excellent. Nice. So, Terran's special upgrades are additions to the base. The planetary fortress here, it has its own AI units that it will command. You'll see that it's adding heavy siege tanks and adding some other goodies. These are not things added by me. These are not things paid for by my teammates. These are just added by the base, and these can be enabled by getting these special upgrades here. My teammate has already invested into all of them, so I don't have to. But it does mean that suddenly the AI base will start sending out these devastation turrets out in the middle of nowhere. It will rebuild existing ones. It will rebuild any of these that are lost, and it will add a bunch of them all over the place. In fact, it adds some more back here, but it looks like we have teammates that are building so close to the planetary fortress that I can't actually build them back there, which is kind of self-defeating, but I guess it's not that important. Additionally, I do want to get some of the basic upgrades for the Terran defenses. We'll add range, armor, damage to all of the NPC towers, which is quite good. Let's do one of those now, just because getting +1 on it is amazing. It adds that +1 range and the armor, which keeps it alive way better. The difference is huge, especially considering all the Zerg are still at 0-0. And they will stay at 0-0 until such a time as someone on the enemy team presses these upgrade buttons. So it's in our benefits to get our economy rolling as quickly as possible so that we can upgrade the enemy's Zerg and then give them some trouble. It looks like the enemy are actually dealing with the Leviathan right now. I imagine we did at some point, but turns out when you have a Mengsk on the team playing damage support, they do hellaciously well at providing anti-air. We need someone to get rid of these rocks. We have to send over some units of our own and make them attack the rocks. That way, the enemy have to deal with all of that. Oh, major concern. Let's go ahead and pick up some more Liberators here, because that's going to be important. For the time being, let's set you guys up over here. Thank you. Good, and then we'll get our attack upgrades, defense upgrade. Let's get our armor upgrades. Our Terran Ghost teammate is not going to be able to deal with this boss because this boss is mechanical. Mechanical boss does not get sniped, so I'm just basically going to wait until it gets over to our mainline base, and then I'm going to unsiege all of my Liberators, and I'm going to make it go away, is what's going to happen here. Looks like our Kerrigan teammate was attempting to help against this. It took out, you know, a chunk of its HP. Not terrible. We tried. Oh, Mengsk is doing Mengsk things! Yes, bring the anti-air in. Alright, Mengsk actually has ridiculous DPS, so it looks like as long as I hold the masses, the swarm, my teammates will be able to spot treat the bosses and clean it all up, which honestly, is one of the main benefits of having a hybrid or a support defender. Terran is what you call, it's what I like to call a mainline defender. They're the ones who build in the middle of the lane. They keep everything at bay. Their job, my job, is to not die and to give my teammates the backbone for which they can do anything they want. The backbone of safety. Characters like Megsk, despite having bunkers, these are bunkers in name only, they are not comparable to the bunkers that I can build. Mine are just way better, way more defensible, and that's all there is to say about that, really. So, Megsk is very good at providing anti-air support. You see that he has filled rocket troopers into his bunkers here. So anything that comes nearby gets exterminated. And then he has these shock divisions, which are basically super siege tanks, as well as a couple of support units, such as the Imperial Witness, which increases the attack speed of all friendly units nearby, which is amazing. What I'm going to do now is get a bunch more science vessels, and then a few more liberators, and I'll leave about 50 supply-ish for spot treatment, in case I need to suddenly build out a bunch of Banshees to clean up something, or Vikings, or, well, whatever specific issue is incoming. Looks like there are some Leviathans. These are Leviathans that have been sent to us from the enemy team, and we are going to have to deal with that. Fortunately, I believe it's only 2 Leviathans, and those 2 Leviathans are not going to be a significant threat to us here. Because we have a Megsk teammate with way more anti-air than those 2 Leviathans could ever hope to punch through. Gonna get a couple sensor towers here for a couple reasons, not the least of which is they allow me to get additional scans. Every sensor tower I get here gives me an additional charge of sensor sweep or scanner sweep, just like orbital commands do, which is quite the good. Additionally, they also function as standard sensor towers, which is quite nice, because then we can actually see any enemies that try to be cheeky and sneak along the edges or whatnot. They're quite... That is generally how the game ends, because someone sends over like some bombers or some liberators or something and just wipes out your economy or whatever important structure you need, and then you're done. So now, while all of this is happening, I'm mildly concerned that our Kerrigan is being so defensive. These Zerg units, in my opinion, should be just throwing themselves into here, or even trying to break these rocks or these rocks, just to apply additional pressure onto the enemies here. Looks like my teammates have already gotten all of the basic upgrades for the Zerg, so now I'm going to start working on upgrading the bosses. Namely, I want to upgrade the Stank and Apocalypse. As much as Leviathan is good, it looks like the opponents are quite capable of dealing with that. And I want to upgrade the Stank here. And because we have already achieved maximum economy upgrades, we're going to be getting quite a lot of minerals. And so those are all going to go into upgrades. And importantly, we're getting a lot of minerals on top of all of the bounty minerals that we're gaining from killing off the Zerg. Now, of course, I am not personally getting those minerals. My teammates are getting the minerals. But that's fine, because the teammates, as you've seen, are getting upgrades, and all the minerals that I'm getting from my passive income is not coming off of the bounty upgrade. It's not coming off of the Zerg bounty, so I'm not taking minerals away from my teammates who are investing so heavily into squishy units. Which means our team just gets more and more money, gets further ahead, and with that aheadness, we can get even more bosses. Looks like our team has decided to send 3 Stanks to the opponent. They are not fully upgraded. Alright, well, I'm going to wait until 4K so I can get the upgrades on those, because the additional 1,500 HP, as well as the damage and armor, is quite the good, and it would be nice if we could do that, especially considering that we have so many Stanks on the field right now. Remember, Stanks are just super ultralisks. They're just omega tanky. There we go, that's the upgrade. Up to 9,000 HP, 12 armor, and 100 damage. AoE slashing. These suckers can break all kinds of things. Ideally, we would have also sent some Apocalypse, but you know what? There's a solid chance that this is absolutely going to break them, and while they are likely to survive and stabilize. Just the raw pressure of trying to stabilize, and the pressure of this constant swarm hitting them is going to leave them extremely cost inefficient. If we had an apocalypse going now in that lane, all of those liberators would be getting slammed. Looks like Alarak is going to do a good job of holding their line. But for us, we're actually pushing into the spawn, because why not? We can. We've got a lot of defenses and a lot of money. Yeah, it looks like the stanks here are getting kited around. And now they're in Liberator range again, and with it, away goes the HP. Thank goodness we got the upgrades on them, because they're hitting real hard. But yeah, as you can see here, they're losing just about their everything. A few of their stanks have made it all the way to the base. Surprised to see if they've made it as far as they have. I did not expect them to actually deal any damage to the base, just instead of just getting kited around for a lot. But as you can see here, even as the opponents are likely to survive this, they will take a lot of damage, and it will cost them greatly. They're losing structures back here, they're losing economy, and the time it takes them to rebuild all of this, you'll see the standard creeps are starting to make it through. Things are going to get real bad from them real quickly. I'm still of the opinion that we should have waited an extra, I don't know, 3 minutes and then synchronized with the team. Typically you want to send alongside with your teammates all at the same time, so you have the most going on. But you know what? This is fine. We were able to hold. The opponents are nowhere near threatening us, so you know what? It doesn't matter all that much. Everything is okay. Excellent. Looks like the Terran base, Planetary Fortress, still spawning units, still spawning all kinds of goodies, and are hoping to hold the line. The enemies are actually sending some units to us. We have a Tal'Darim Berserker. The Alarak is actually trying to apply some pressure to us. You know, it's to each his own. I would think he would want to spend as much of time as he can trying to restabilize here. Looks like they are also doing that. We did destroy any static defense they had here, and most of their ground units, which is amazing. But the moment I get to 9,000 minerals, which should be probably 2 minutes from now, I will be sending 3 apocalypses, and any other money I get afterward, it's going to be stanks trickling in afterward. But the apocalypses with their anti-air rockets will be slaughtering all of these liberators. And because they really don't have much left, they've already been broken once by a bunch of stanks, then yeah, I suspect they won't be recovering ever. Yeah, all they've got is some liberators, a Wrathwalker, a few missile turrets for anti-air, you know, that's cool. They've got a couple science vessels, but they aren't this. They're nowhere near this. This is something they don't have the ability to break. And due to our Mansk being good and actually holding the line here with anti-air, I don't think they're going to be able to be cheeky against us at all. Now, we're at 8k now. Our Terran ghost friend had to retreat due to being outranged by the Guardians. Guardians dealing damage, killing off a bunch of ghosts. That's not allowed. Do I still have these Hellbats over here? I do. Get out of my HP pool. Get out of my supply pool, please. The enemies did send a Leviathan and some bosses like the Stank. I'm not concerned. Let's just send all their things. And an extra Stank because we can. Looks like, oh, and 3 Leviathans. So I sent 3 Apocalypse and a Stank. A teammate sent 3 Leviathans. And, ooh, okay. Well, time to cast their own lane clear. So while this is happening, we're sending our death over to the other side. I know what's going to happen over there, and I'm frankly a little bit more intrigued in all of this over here. The Hyperion will not be completely clearing out all these bosses, but we should be able to hold this line pretty well. Looks like only the Stanks are breaking through. And nope, stanks have been cleared up. Liberators are good units. All that's left are the Leviathans. But over here, they are breaking extremely hard. All those Liberators destroyed by the Apocalypse. Apocalypse at 14,000 HP apiece. And 181 damage per hit to heroic units at 145 otherwise. This is very one-sided, ladies and gentlemen. This has been playing Terran as best as you can, or at least the intro to it. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and for now, have a good one, everyone. And I'll see you guys later.